The invisible crisis nobody prepared you for. Have you ever looked around and felt like everyone else has their life figured out, except you? One friend has landed their dream job. Another is starting a business. Someone else is traveling the world. And every time you open social media, it feels like everyone your age is moving forward while you're standing still. You begin asking yourself questions that become harder to ignore. Am I falling behind? Did I choose the wrong career? What if I never become successful? What if everyone else knows something I don't? These thoughts don't appear overnight. They grow quietly. One comparison at a time. One disappointment at a time. Until one day, you wake up feeling completely lost. Not because you're lazy. Not because you're incapable. But because you're trying to navigate one of the most confusing periods of life. Your 20s. Ironically, this is the decade society tells us should be the best years of our lives. The decade where we're expected to discover our passion. Build a successful career. Find the right partner. Become financially independent. Travel. Invest. Exercise. Learn new skills. Maintain friendships. Support family. And somehow, enjoy every moment. It's an impossible checklist. Yet millions of people secretly believe everyone else is managing it better than they are. The truth is, they're not. Today, many young adults report feeling anxious, uncertain, and directionless. And that's not because today's generation is weaker. It's because today's world is fundamentally different from the one many of our parents grew up in. For much of the 20th century in many countries, life followed a relatively predictable path. You finished school. Found a stable job. Built a family. Many people stayed in the same career for decades. Success had a clear definition. But today, there are thousands of career options. Millions of opinions online. Endless opportunities. Endless distractions. Every decision feels like it could change your entire future. And when every choice feels permanent, making any choice becomes terrifying. Psychologists call this the paradox of choice. We assume that having more options makes us happier. But beyond a certain point, the opposite happens. Instead of freedom, we experience paralysis. Imagine standing in front of two doors. Choosing isn't difficult. Now imagine standing in front of 10,000 doors. Each one promises a different future. Different income. Different lifestyle. Different identity. How do you know which one is right? You don't. And that's exactly why so many people freeze. Instead of making progress, they spend years overthinking. Waiting for certainty. Waiting for the perfect opportunity. Waiting to finally figure life out. But certainty never arrives. Because life was never designed to give us complete certainty. Yet we keep believing that successful people must have had everything planned from the beginning. They didn't. Most successful people spend years feeling confused. Changing careers. Failing. Restarting. Questioning themselves. The difference wasn't that they had all the answers. The difference was that they kept moving despite not having them. Here's another reason your 20s feel so overwhelming. For the first time in your life, nobody is telling you exactly what to do. As children, life had structure. Wake up. Go to school. Study. Take exams. Move to the next grade. Every year had clear milestones. Every success had obvious rules. But adulthood removes that roadmap. Suddenly, there are no grades. No report cards. No guaranteed promotions. No one tells you if you're on the right path. You become responsible for designing your own life. And while freedom sounds exciting, it also creates uncertainty. Because freedom comes with responsibility. And responsibility creates pressure. You are expected to answer questions that even people twice your age still struggle with. What career should you pursue? Where should you live? Who should you marry? How much money is enough? What does success even mean? No textbook prepares you for these questions. And that's why feeling lost isn't a sign that you're failing. It's often a sign that you're growing. Think about climbing a mountain in heavy fog. When you're surrounded by mist, you can't see the summit. Sometimes you can't even see the next few steps. Does that mean you're walking in the wrong direction? No. It simply means your visibility is limited. Life works the same way. Most people expect clarity before taking action. But clarity usually comes after action, not before it. You don't discover your purpose by sitting in your room thinking about it for years. You discover it by trying things. Failing. Learning. Changing direction. And trying again. But there's one powerful force making this journey even harder than it needs to be. A force that quietly convinces millions of young people they're not good enough. Every single day. And most of us willingly carry it in our pockets. It's called social media. Every morning, before our feet even touch the floor, many of us reach for our phones. Within minutes, we're looking at someone who just bought a new car. Someone else is celebrating a promotion. Another person is traveling across Europe. Someone announces they're getting married. Another reveals they've made their first million. And without realizing it, our brain begins making comparisons. Not just once. Hundreds of times every day. The dangerous part is that we're comparing our ordinary life to everyone else's highlight reel. We see their victories, but not their failures. We see the celebration, but not the years of rejection. We see the finished product, but never the painful process. Imagine watching the final 5 minutes of a movie and believing you understand the entire story. That's exactly what social media encourages us to do. We judge our beginning against someone else's ending. And that's a comparison nobody can win. Psychologists call this social comparison theory. Our brains naturally measure our progress by looking at other people. Throughout human evolution, comparing ourselves with others likely helped people navigate life in small communities. Today, it exposes us to millions of people, millions of lifestyles, millions of achievements. Your brain was never designed to compare itself with the entire world. Yet that's exactly what it tries to do. And eventually, you begin feeling like you're always behind. But comparison isn't the only problem. There's another trap. The pressure to have everything figured out by a certain age. Somewhere along the way, many of us created an invisible timeline. Graduate by 22. Get a stable job by 23. Earn a high salary by 25. Buy a house before 30. Get married. Build a perfect life. And if any of those milestones don't happen on schedule, we panic. But here's the question. Who created that timeline? Society? Family? Friends? Or did we quietly absorb it from movies, social media, and success stories? The truth is, life doesn't follow a universal schedule. Some people discover their dream career at 21. Others find it at 45. Some become entrepreneurs after losing their jobs. Others change careers multiple times before finding something meaningful. There is no universal deadline for becoming successful. History proves this again and again. Many scientists, writers, inventors, and entrepreneurs experienced repeated failures before achieving the work they're remembered for today. Success rarely happens in a straight line. But our minds love straight lines. They want certainty. They want guarantees. And when reality becomes messy, we assume something is wrong with us. Then comes another invisible enemy. Fear of making the wrong decision. Imagine you're standing at a crossroads. One road leads toward engineering, another toward business, another toward art, another toward content creation. You hesitate because you're terrified that choosing one path means permanently losing every other opportunity. Another reason your 20s can feel emotionally exhausting is what many psychologists and researchers refer to as the quarter-life crisis. Unlike the famous midlife crisis, a quarter-life crisis happens much earlier. It's the period when people begin questioning nearly everything. Who am I? What kind of life do I want? Am I living someone else's dream? Should I start over? Is this career really right for me? These questions can feel uncomfortable. But they're also a sign that you're becoming more self-aware. Growth often begins with uncertainty. Think about a caterpillar. Before it becomes a butterfly, it doesn't simply grow wings overnight. Inside the cocoon, its old body breaks down before something entirely new can emerge. From the outside, that stage looks like chaos. But inside, transformation is taking place. Your 20s often feel the same. Old beliefs begin disappearing. New identities haven't fully formed. You're caught between who you were and who you're becoming. That's an uncomfortable place to live. But it's also where the greatest growth happens. Unfortunately, many people mistake this temporary confusion for permanent failure. They believe feeling lost means they're on the wrong path. In reality, it often means they're finally asking the right questions. But there's one final reason so many young adults struggle today. It isn't social media. It isn't comparison. It isn't uncertainty. It's the way we've defined success itself. We've been taught that success is something you achieve. A destination. A finish line. A number in your bank account. A job title. A luxury car. But what if we've been chasing the wrong definition all along? What if the people who seem to have everything still feel just as lost inside? Stop searching for your purpose. Start building it. So far, we've uncovered why your 20s can feel overwhelming. We've seen how endless choices, social comparison, unrealistic expectations, and uncertainty can make even the most capable people question themselves. But now comes the most important question. How do you stop feeling lost? Most people believe there's one magical moment when everything suddenly makes sense. One day you'll wake up. Know exactly what you want. Know exactly what career to pursue. Know exactly who you're meant to become. But real life doesn't work that way. Purpose isn't something waiting to be discovered. It's something built. Think about learning to ride a bicycle. You don't master it by reading books. You don't become confident by watching videos. You learn by getting on the bike. You wobble. You fall. You get back up. And with every attempt, your balance improves. Life works in a similar way. Waiting until you feel completely ready only keeps you standing still. Action creates clarity. Not the other way around. One of the biggest myths about successful people is that they always knew what they wanted. In reality, many of them changed direction multiple times. They experimented. They failed. They learned. Every experience became another clue about who they were becoming. Your 20s are not an exam. They're an experiment. And experiments are supposed to include mistakes. If every decision has to be perfect, you'll never make one. Another powerful shift happens when you stop asking, "What if I fail?" and start asking, "What if I learn something valuable?" Failure isn't the opposite of success. It's part of the process. Every skill you admire today was once something someone was terrible at. Every expert was once a beginner. Every confident person once doubted themselves. Growth often looks like failure in the beginning. There's another trap that keeps people stuck. They wait for motivation. They believe successful people wake up every morning feeling inspired. But motivation is unreliable. Some days you'll have it. Many days you won't. That's why discipline matters more. Discipline means taking one small step even when you don't feel like it. Reading 10 pages. Going for a walk. Applying for one job. Learning one new skill. Editing one video. Writing one page. These tiny actions seem insignificant. But over months and years, they can completely change your life. Imagine two people. The first improves by just 1% every day. The second keeps waiting for the perfect opportunity. At first, there's almost no difference. But after a year, the gap becomes enormous. Big transformations rarely happen overnight. They happen quietly. One habit at a time. One decision at a time. One ordinary day at a time. Another mistake people make is believing they need to figure out the next 10 years. You don't. You only need to know the next step. When driving at night, your car's headlights don't illuminate the entire highway. They only show the next few hundred feet. Yet that's enough to reach your destination. Life is no different. You don't need to see your entire future. You just need enough clarity to take the next step. Then the next. And then the next. Many people also believe they have unlimited time. I'll start next month. I'll learn that skill next year. I'll chase my dream someday. But someday has a habit of becoming never. The life you want isn't built by intentions. It's built by consistent action. Even if those actions are small. Even if nobody notices. Even if progress feels slow. Remember this. The oak tree doesn't become massive in one season. It grows quietly for years. Most people only admire the final result. They never see the countless ordinary days that made it possible. Your life is being shaped in a similar way. So stop measuring yourself against someone else's timeline. The only person you need to be better than is the person you were yesterday. Maybe you're still confused. Maybe you still don't know exactly where you're going. That's okay. No map becomes useful until someone starts walking. Direction appears through movement, not through endless thinking. One day you'll look back at this period of uncertainty. The sleepless nights. The self-doubt. The fear. The confusion. And you'll realize something surprising. Those weren't the years you were falling behind. They were the years you were becoming the person you needed to be. So if you're in your 20s and feel lost, take a deep breath. You're not broken. You're not late. And you're certainly not alone. You're simply standing at the beginning of a story whose ending hasn't been written yet. The future doesn't belong to the people who have everything figured out. It belongs to the people who keep moving forward despite not having all the answers. Because in the end, life isn't about finding yourself. It's about creating yourself. And that journey starts today. Thank you for watching. If this video helped you see your 20s from a different perspective, consider subscribing for more documentaries that explore psychology, science, history, and the ideas that shape our lives. Until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and keep moving forward.